One of the questions that we had, and a fan question as well, who's the best player that you think you've faced? Were there any players that, they'd be coming at you maybe on a breakaway, half breakaway, and you thought, this is going to be a difficult puck to stop?
I don't know, because all the players are so different. It's kind of like goaltender, where no one goaltender is the same. They all bring different things, and it's hard. I mean, there's different kind of shot techniques. There's people have different releases. They can disguise stuff better, but then someone else might not disguise it as well, but their shot's more accurate or harder. And it's a weird one. But I mean, one of them that sticks out is obviously Patrick Kane at the World Championships, because you never knew whether he was going to pass or shoot. So it was just a case of holding my ground as much as I could, but getting ready to load one leg and just fly across. Been setting up Jack Eichel for quite a few one-timers on that power play. But yeah, there's people like that, and obviously then you play against Canada and you got like Mark Stone and people, and again, they're a totally different game, but they're just as effective sometimes. So it's kind of hard. I mean, one thing that does stick in my mind is when we played Slovakia for the first time. So in the pre-tournament game in Poprad, I can remember Kiefer going through some penalty shots. So they must have known that we're having penalty shots at the end of it. And he showed me Thomas Tatar's move, and the guy actually pulled this exact same move, and I managed to get a piece of it. So that's one thing that did stick out for me, that even though I knew it was coming, it was still, I could keep up with it, got a piece of it and poked it away from him, and then he tried shooting the second one, actually, which luckily I saved. But I'm thinking those refs might have given it him. But no, that kind of sticks in, that it's coming. But it's still so good that it was hiding it till the last minute, and in my head I'm thinking, is it actually going to come? Is he going to do something totally different here and just put it between my legs or something? So I can't really pick out one player that's better than all the others, but there's been a lot of good players that we've come up against.
Does it register with you in a way that it kind of does for fans when, obviously you, the 2019 tournament, you went and played against some of, if not the best hockey players on the entire planet, NHL superstars, not just international superstars. When you recount this story, like you're just saying the name Jack Eichel and Patrick Kane and Thomas Tatar and Mark Stone so casually, as if like that's just, that's just part of the business, but like, did you kind of have that moment where you were thinking, oh my goodness, like I'm playing against some of the best players on the planet right now?
Not right at the time. I think I'm more into the goalies than the players, because I'm just a bit of a goalie geek. But I can remember in the Canada game, at the end of the game, obviously you're all peed off because you've just lost. I think we ended up losing like 8 or 9-0 or whatever it were. And I can remember looking across and seeing Murray's name on there, and realizing, obviously, that guy's won 2 Stanley Cups. They were played, and then you're like, well, I've just played against Carter Hart, who is a lot younger than me, and you think that in theory older people should be like, oh, he's younger, just who cares? Like, don't need to think about him. But then you're like, well, it's such a good goalie. He's turning that franchise around. And that's when it probably clicked for the first time ever. But then again, it wasn't until after the Worlds, when you kind of went home and we realized exactly what we'd done and what we'd achieved, that then it did start sinking in, the players that you've been playing against. But to be fair, it's just a case, it sounds a bit nonchalant, but it's and not as exciting as what people probably want to hear. But it's your job, and you're put on the ice to play against whoever's against you, whether that's someone from the ENL or someone from the NHL or NIHL to the NHL. That probably sounds a bit better, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Like whether you're playing Swindon or Steel Dogs, or you're playing Team USA or like Team Canada, it don't matter. You're put on there to do your best. You're put on there to try and win, and that's what you do. It don't matter who you're against. Obviously, you're aware of these players. You're aware of their tendencies and where they shoot, or the plays that they usually set up. But that's about as far as it goes, really. They're just another player that I want to stop at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you've certainly done plenty of that. You've made some fantastic saves, which just sent everyone going crazy in your times. Where do you think Great Britain in the top tier again for another year? You've achieved a lot in your career. Where do you kind of want GB to go? Are you still kind of pushing and dreaming that maybe you'll get into an Olympic Games?
That'd be awesome, to be fair. For GB right now, though, it's just a case of staying up. We've got one hell of a challenge on our on our hands if the Worlds go ahead. I'm pretty confident that they will, especially with the under-20s men's going ahead. So I'd like to see that, but I mean, we've got a tough chance. I mean, some of the guys might not have played a lot of hockey this year, and we've got to go in and we've got to stay up at the top tier of the world again. And Belarus are a totally different beast to France. They're a completely different style of hockey, more of a Russian style, and something that GB maybe have struggled with when we've come up against the likes of Kazakhstan and teams like that in the past. So that's going to be the biggest challenge, and that's going to be our main goal right now, and I think that should be our main goal right now anyway. Obviously, I've not spoke to the team or Peter or anyone for quite a while, but yeah, it's I think our aim should be to stay up for another year and aim to be at that top level of the world hockey for quite a long time. I mean, obviously, it would have been nice to have gone through to the next round of the Olympic qualifiers and pushed on from there, but we still would have had one hell of a task just to get there, because I think we had like Latvia and someone else in our group, and it could have been done, but unfortunately it just didn't happen for us that week in Nottingham. So yeah, I mean, we'll move on. It would be amazing to play in the Olympics, but my focus would be to stay in that top tier of the World Championships for as long as we can and prove that it wasn't just a one-off.